My name is Derrick May. I'm from Detroit, last time I checked. And we are here in Belgrade, and we're going to have a little discussion.
Okay, first of all, what was your reaction to being asked to play in Belgrade?
Well, I had been asked before, but it was nice, no, assuming that I've been going all over the country. Not necessarily all over the country, because this is still in some people's minds considered Yugoslavia, Serbia, but it's Yugoslavia. But I've been all over this region, let's just say it like that. So it was cool to come here and sort of like put a sort of a ceiling over the whole thing. Now I've basically been all over this whole part of this whole region.
How do you find the crowds in this region compared to back home and in other places that you tour?
Mostly crowds in Eastern Europe I find are unbelievable. I played in Macedonia and in Croatia. It's like playing for a football match. I mean, the enthusiasm, the energy, except for Japan, I can't really compare it to anything as far as just outright energy is concerned. I mean, you almost can't hear yourself play. It's so loud, you almost can't even hear in your own headphones.
We've heard Strings of Life played to a great response at the Eco Festival. When you wrote that piece of music, did you have any idea it would be such a timeless piece?
Not necessarily timeless, but I knew I had done something a bit special. But I've done more songs than that, and it's kind of like that's been the one that people remember the most. That's not the one that I thought that was most special to me, but it seems to be the one that is most special to everybody else. So,
what inspired and influenced you to make music originally?
it was Juan Atkins. He had another perception on life. He had another meaning to his life. As such a young person of the age of 14 and 15, he already was focused. He already had a vision of how he wanted to live out his life. And this was, for me, an amazing thing to meet a kid my age that already had his dreams and his plans already mapped out. So I became infatuated with this idea that he had, and it became my idea. And I became as ambitious as he did to make it a reality. And that's the reason that I make music and I do all these things. It's got all to do with Juan Atkins. I got him to blame for my whole life.
Today, the technology to make electronic music is affordable and accessible. How does that compare to when you first started making music?
Well, I think the technology is definitely, I wouldn't say it's cheaper. I would say it's about the same. In some cases, it's more readily available. True, you can go almost everywhere and buy it. That's the big difference, is that you can get it everywhere. The price of it is definitely not that much cheaper. It was going to happen eventually. I mean, for us, it was more or less through mail order and through a few little keyboard shops in town, and we would go there for hours and just until the manager told us to get the hell out. That was pretty much how we started,
What equipment did you use when you started making music?
Well, we used a lot of sequential circuit stuff. We used some Yamaha keyboards, Korg, drum machines, early ones such as 808s and 909s, early sequencers. So we were pretty primitive, but the basic element for making music is still the same today. It's still a sequencer, it's still a drum machine or some sort of drum software, and it's still a keyboard or some sort of keyboard software. So the only thing that's changed is the fact that now you can do it with one particular instrument or control panel or computer. Back then, you had to have 4 and 5 keyboards. You were like, the man with 20 arms. But I actually still like to be the man with 20 arms. I think it's more fun than being the guy on the computer.
Do you use any particular programs now to make music then?
No, I'm not actually making music so much these days. I've got all kinds of legal problems that I've had for like about 8 or 9 years, and I don't really talk about them. I've always I've always sort of used the excuse that I'll get around to making music when I get around to making it. That's been a good excuse to not talk about my legal problems, you know. But I'm in a really heavy-duty breach situation where I'm not going to make music until I basically get out of it. And if that's 20 years, that's 20 years. I don't care.
That's really sad. You've been quoted as saying that you don't approve of the drug culture that surrounds techno and dance music. Is that correct? And could you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think drug culture, dance music, any music, classical music, any music, I don't care what it is. I don't care what era, what century, what day, today gone or tomorrow coming. There will always be some form of a hallucinogenic that has something to do with somebody's life that becomes interactive with some particular activity. For whatever reason, people have to interact with this. Maybe they feel more associated or closer to the, or can relate, or they just feel it makes them a little bit more uninhibited. You know, it sort of opens up this canal, you know, that takes them somewhere else for that one brief moment. My own perception of that will always be that I don't see the reason why, because I have that canal open because I just can tap inside myself and feel who I am, and I'm happy with that. Other people will do what they do, you know, and I wish them the best and hope they don't hurt themselves.
What would you say to young people today who are making electronic music?
Say, don't make electronic music. I would say make good music.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.